Welcome back to 5 Elements Tactical, self-defense, home defense, prepping, and survival. Today we're having a bit of a family tradition that I'm going to bring you guys in on. We do a lot of prepping, not just doomsday stuff and just, emergency preparedness stuff, but just prepping in general for, the year to come and whatnot. And today we're making the sauce. So we're not actually making sauce. We're pretty much just jarring tomatoes that we buy them in crates, and then we wash them and dry them and dice them and stew them and put them in the sprema pomodoro. I don't know how you say that in English. A tomato mill grinder thing. And out comes like a puree of what you would imagine a tomato sauce. Goes into a big pot, and we bring it to not quite a boil. Goes into jars with basil. We seal them shut. And I'll take you through the process today. Stay with me. What's up, warriors? This is Kiyoshi Dave Herman with 5 Elements Tactical Training, here to share with you some warrior skills and drills that anyone can learn and everyone should know. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and thanks for stopping by. If you already follow us on social media and that's how you find your way over to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button and the little thing where it says all notifications, so YouTube will let you know when the next video drops, and you get all sorts of cool content from here as well. Quick question, do you guys call it gravy or do you call it sauce? We call it sauce, and I'm sure, like everything else that we cover on the channel, it's one of those things that everyone's way is right and everyone else is wrong. And I spent the last couple of months just kind of asking around, especially at my martial arts school. I live in a town where there's a lot of Italian people, and regardless of my last name, I'm actually half Italian, half unknown. That's a whole other story for another day. But my wife's all Italian. I was raised more Italian than anything else. So, in our house we have a lot of, spaghetti and meatballs and sauce, never really from a jar that you get in the store. Like that's, my grandma would not have that. So it's kind of tradition, making sauce, as we call it, sauce. So again, growing up in a town, and an area where there's a lot of Italian people, in my martial arts school, it's, a lot of Italian families, and very first or second generation Americans that, their grandparents who were from the other side are still around, and I'm always curious to hear how everybody does it. I know the vast majority of people do it outside, and we do it inside. We just do smaller batches, so it's a little bit, it's nice and temperature controlled. It really comes down to my sister-in-laws who are no bugs. I don't want the heat. I don't want you sweating in the sauce. I'm like, I sweat no matter what I do. She's like, well, you just stand over there while we're doing this part. Okay, but we do it inside. We just do smaller batches, but the process is the same. Although when I talk to other neighbors and friends and family, some people boil the jar, some people don't boil the jar. Some people boil the sauce, some people don't boil the sauce. Some people put the basil, some people don't do the basil. So I'm going to take you down the way my family does it. And again, if you call it gravy or sauce, let me know. And as we're going along, if you do it a different way, again, this is a fun thing. I love the tradition of it, that my kids are learning, and hopefully they'll do it. And it's a good thing for the prepper community to understand how do you prepare things that go from the garden, or we buy them at the store because we buy them in such bulk. But how do you take that stuff and preserve it so that it'll last you at least till next year or longer? But if you have a different way to do it, or you think I'm doing something wrong, let me know, because I'm always looking to up my game. As long as Grandma's okay with it, we'll be okay with it. All right? Stick around. So right now, while there's a bit of a lull in the action around here, it's a little actually kind of quiet. What we do is we get them by the crate, and I don't know the exact amount, but usually about a crate of tomatoes. We get the plum tomatoes. We'll make a case of 32-ounce jars. So for every, we get the Ball. I like Ball brand. I guess they have the best reputation. Unless you have a better brand out there, I'm like, we can't get them. They're not Ball. But if there's another one, it's only because I don't want to get them. It's only because I'm not familiar with the name. But we get Ball brand jars, mason jars. We use cases of 12, 32-ounce jars, which you'll see in a second. And about a crate of tomatoes makes about a case of jars of sauce. So we just get them and pour them into these buckets, which we have probably more than we need, but we use them for so many different things. So the first step is get the tomatoes from the store, bring them in, unpack them, load them in these, and it's just easier to handle. And usually there's a few people going in at the same time. Just first we wash them. I'll take you to that station next. Then we dry them, and then we start cutting them up. All right, so the next step is we just wash them in the sink in a school bust, a strainer. Just wash them and rinse them real good. You bring the big buckets, put them in here. As we wash them, we strain them. From the strainer, we dry them. Once we dry them, we make sure they're really, really dry, and then they go to the cutting board. So the next part is we just sit down with really sharp knives and cutting boards and take turns. We take the tomatoes and cut them, I guess, into quarters or eighths or something. I don't know. You cut them a few times till about that size, all right? And then from there, they go into the pot. In the pot, we stew them up. We used to do this in my sister-in-law's house. She's got a much bigger kitchen with a much bigger stove, and there's no microwave in the way. So we were able to fit bigger pots on her range, whereas this is the first year we're doing it in our house, in our kitchen, because that's what we wanted to do it. And so it's taking a little bit longer, but the process is fun, and it's family time, and this is actually Labor Day weekend, so none of us really have anywhere to go for the next few days. We'll probably bang it out in, I'm going to guess, 2 days, the amount of jars we're trying to make. Once it's stewed to this point, then it's ready to go into the sprema pomodoro, which I'll show you now. Alright, so the next step is we take the stewed tomatoes. With the small pot, I could just feed it right into the top of the sprema pomodoro. If you know what this thing is called in English, I'm curious. Turn that sucker on. And this is the real magic right here. The stuff that comes out the side we feed through again because there's still a lot of pulp and juice left in there. We take this, feed it through again. And it's pretty amazing how much of this comes out. How much more of the tomato comes out of this. The pulp, like the real, not just the juice. This just gets the seeds and the veins and the skin out. And you get more. That's the good stuff right there. It's a really it's an easy process. It takes a while, but it's a fun process. And then this goes in the garbage. Here's a top-down view. So again, we take the tomatoes that are stewed and just pour them into the top. When we use the bigger pot, we have a bigger pot also. And we'll just use a like a pitcher to scoop it out from the pot and pour it into the top. And use like the stuffer thing. Turn it on. Just kind of help feed it in. A lot of times we'll have two people manning this station. One person feeds and stuffs, the other one moves the pulp. When it stops coming out of the side over here, we just take that tray and feed that in the top. And again, you get more, I guess, juice and pulp and everything out of here. And again, it'll come out, the pulp that comes out the side will be a much drier consistency. Mostly just seeds, skin, and I guess the veins. I always find this so amazing. You know, some people I think maybe feed it through 3 times. We just do it twice. If you do it more, let me know. I think it depends on the machine you have. We had a different machine last year that died. We found out this morning, so I had to run to a store to get this one. This is a Spremi, Italian made. I think this is a 1/3 horsepower. They make a 1/4 horsepower, a 1/3 horsepower, and a 1/2 horsepower. But the 1/2 horsepower one was like $600. This one was 3 and change plus tax, came out to right around $400. but it's a workhorse. It's awesome. We put the towel over the top. I leave the vent open on the side. Still gets a little hot, but I don't run it really long. I just keep a small towel over it, so it's just not, try and keep everything as clean as we can. Ask any of your very Italian friends, and when it comes to like making sauce, making wine, cooking in the kitchen, we're really big on just keep everything clean. We're gonna eat this, keep it as clean as you can. Washing our hands constantly, washing the stuff constantly. It's a process, but again, when you eat it, it's delicious. So now we take the cut tomatoes, we fill up the pots, start the next round, the next batch. We fill them up pretty high. One in the back, one in the front. That's why everybody has a job. So we get a couple people, washing and drying the tomatoes. A lot of people cutting the tomatoes. And then when we get this going, you just got to watch it and stew it. Now, the tomatoes that come out of the bucket go in here. And what we do from here is we just add salt. There's already salt in here, but I just, generously cover the top. And we bring it to not a boil, but just, you see the foam getting on top? This is ready to go into the jars. So some people boil the jars first. We have a process where we, again, not sterilized, but wash them in the washing machine on that like sterilized cycle and dry them so that they're like, there's no water in there whatsoever. Get it super clean, super dry. And then I'll take you to the next station where it gets ready to fill the jar. So the next station, from here what we do is we have jars that we ran through the dishwasher on the sterile and whatever the highest setting is with the most heat, get them the most dry. And then we get a big crate of basil and we throw a couple leaves in each of one of the jars. And the next step is we just start pouring from the big pot into the jars to the rim. And then the lids go on, the bands go on, and we just set it and forget it. We put it under a blanket. I don't know if this is like a crazy thing or not, but we put them under a blanket for around about a week. You start hearing all the buttons on all the lids start to seal, and then that's when you store it in the basement or wherever you're going to keep it till you're ready to use them, and they'll last. We have some that we stored for 2 years. Nothing past 2 years, but well past 1 year. All right, now the last step. Bring the big pot over. Make sure you use your things. We usually have a different funnel. The funnel, we can't find it. We think the baby hid it. I got a 2-year-old that loves to hide things. So the old spremadora thing broke. But the top from it that you used it sits on top of the machine. You put all the tomatoes in there. We took it off and we'll see how that works as a funnel. Use like a nice big ladle. Oh my God. Try to fill it nice to the rim. Back in here. On to the next one. It's really hot. We just bring the sauce, the tomatoes to a, not quite a boil, but you can tell when it's done because the top starts kind of like, gets a little foaming. You can tell it's like getting ready to start boiling. And we leave it there. This actually works way better than the funnel that we used to use. I can move way faster. Way faster. All right. So now, okay. So I'll just move this out of the way. Now remember that the jars are really hot. The lids are all clean or new. Anything that looked remotely damaged on like, it's got like this gummy ring around there. A lot of times they say it's a single use only, but we use it more than once. As long as the whole ring is intact. Put it on as tight as you can. And there it goes. Fits like a glove. This one's got one of the smaller rings. Small mouth. Find the small ring. So jars come in wide mouth and regular, I suppose. So you just got to make sure you have, we always buy extra bands and lids and bands, so that in the event that the jars last forever as long as you don't break them. And these things, when they get like all shangad, I don't even know, that's another word I don't know how to say in English. Messy, jacked up, broken, messed up, doesn't work anymore, crappy looking, you replace them. And that's it. Now these things go, like it still has that, it didn't vacuum itself yet, but because they're really, really hot, we just let them, they cool down. It takes a while, especially when we have like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't know how many cases we're going to do today, probably about 12 cases. And then little by little, in a couple of days, you also start hearing it go, and then all they start, and then they go on the shelf and sit till you're ready to, when we make the sauce, that's when we're going to, then you put it back in a pot and you add your garlic and oil and whatever other stuff you're going to put in your sauce. Well, if you made it this far and you like what I'm teaching or preaching, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like this video. If you're loving it, hit the subscribe button. And if you got to have it, make sure you hit the bell notification button so YouTube will let you know when the next video drops. If you're really digging it and you want more, you can find me on all social media platforms at 5 Elements Tactical. That's all I got for now, warriors. So until our paths cross again, pray for the best, prepare for the rest. I'm Kiyoshi Dave Herman with 5 Elements Tactical Training. Thanks for watching.